As you can observe, we are kind of naked, no ties, pretty hot today. 26 December 2023, 15 hours, 35 minutes, private living, Rio de Janeiro Federative Unit, part of the Brazil criminal system by the misused rule. We had this model, which is the 360 evaluation, is used that human resource, but we place it for control. And we had the protagonist in Brazil, the Brazil institutional system and state by self-determination was codified as a criminal architecture unveiled from corruption until criminal purpose. By this, we request one more time to cut all my ties with Brazil and peers because there are no reason to be. In the same way, we had this model with the International Criminal Court or the antitrust justice, because the local institutional crime will be projected in major arenas as pandemic criminals. So we had this question: who creates the law is representing the people? Do we have satisfaction of rights? And new law about issues not satisfied. Why? And we will have this model, the AIO, attention, interest, opinion. Attention is struggle, interest, who is related with an opinion. We suggested to have, for instance, in a struggle between Israel and Palestine, 19 days straight as conflict, and it's coming to the deadline. We will suggest to the parts on it. Indeed, we will have the struggle between A and B will carry a group of interest. Attention, interest, and now opinion, which will be A and B, period of interest and reasons of them as interest, or about them as third or not partial observation. Then we will codify by the binary values we have. If the interest at this area is null, kind of no one put money here, only here, indeed we will have the relation as Venn diagram: A, B, interest A, interest B. This is the first thing we will have. Now we will have a regression, quite simple, using this space here about things we had as the best moments of 2023. I could check that the corruption inside my environment got linked with others. I have to track only one on my environment to get them all. And I could codify from my environment using my things for criminal purpose and viewed as criminal activity. In the same way, we have at the struggle using this model as control and 360 human resource as evaluation. This kind of thing will happen inside my institution. If it got noticed as profitable, will change my pattern as function. By the procedures I have, considering the fake records, The fake records will give me zones of interest or ranking the preference to change things by clandestine procedures representing the parallel use of power. The behavior will be switched from the legitimacy to violence and intimidation in the way we experience in Brazil. It's a criminal system, and by this, one more time, I request to cut all my ties with Brazilian peers because there are no reason to be. The other thing we had is that if I have limits of options and these kind of options are made by identity like debit and credit or investment saving and liquidity money. Indeed, I will have the observation as index that debit plus credit will give me 100%. Any variance on debit or on credit will change the proportion, and I will have this segmented at the space as debit or credit as micro records I do, or the expression macro as the curves I have. In the same way, if I do the fake records on my bank system and my corporate account or domestic public budget, indeed will give me the integration as parallel mobilization globally. By the contrary behavior of my curve, I will switch the pattern as something like this. And then I will have those zones that give me the idea as investment saving curve and liquidity money curve supporting the criminal activity directory counterfeit. Linked with record will give me the fake currency, the piracy, and the IoT misguided, and the things from this point leads to directory of defense and cases presented as economic espionage by harassment of private living, considering the attempt that the data is stolen before God created the concept, while data attache was the last episode at this circus that is running, that Brazil is running with peers. And by this, one more time, we request to cut all ties with Brazilian peers because there are no reason to be. Quite simple to get. This was the idea as 2023, and I think that the goals we have are all conquered. The Architecture for Rational Review 2014-2023, we did right now. The Institutional Crime Emblazing Act by Power Misuses at chair level. They keep the aggressions, trying to scapegoat everything, and they just need a whole new world. So, we will have something here. The judicial and institutional decision reviewed to be made by chairs. We will have the last thing, the regressive model and expectation to apply consequence against codified object as criminal system. Fractal from local tiny city Saquarema and dumpster of the globe Rio de Janeiro until the entire garbage field as the pandemic mobilization of crime by the misuse of power currently by operated as power misuser to cover power previously misused and complained at least since 2014, caught in blazing act until this time in Brazil on budget, especially by FIFA, Olympics, COVID and others. Carrying artists and a lot of things, qualified element as criminals. We had the invitation to be at the Brazilian bank system, but since you got this by hoax and made collusions indeed is another expression as solidarity. The collusion is illegal if you are trying to open the market and set the competitive environment. And by this we require to the architecture having the complaint do the seizure of the money considering banks linked with criminal system as collusion in general by fake record as need object of the counterfeit directory and having by equity all or any kind of collusion from regular area as that very first model we have as diagram linked with the organized crime under the same kind of treatment. The seizure of the values or information, the judicial storage and review by not partial judge, confirming or not corrupted court or court of justice, judicial power or ethical committee, and having the dismissal list not made, indeed replaced by the dismiss order that must be made, or the silence is another evidence as criminal association. And by this, we are using this kind of model. Putting the protagonists at the center doing the 360 evaluation. Brazil and peers will have everything misguided for criminal purpose. It's plagiarism. And with a specific intent as criminal intent. Her interest, defaulting rights and guarantees, conspiracy made against the Constitution and the law, and the conjuring against the individual expectation and expectations in general as individual in general or groups. And by this, one more time, we are requesting to cut all ties with Brazil because there are no reason to be. Right? Paycheck, legally charged, legally complained, with expectation according with the law, 40 trillion, considering the financial penalties on it. Accessory. If you do the penalty, you do the punishment as prison of all. An ethical consequence valid or affordable. And we have 12 billion cases in the way we had. We operated the payroll as flow by factoring, considering a negotiable instrument and putting 1% as first 3 trillion. And the case has the interest and financial penalties on it and the cost of the activity because the criminal system got in interaction as obstruction to do the fake records and put the counterfeit directory with a lot of new elements. And by this having the possibility to rank the interest as modified data as kind of the hierarchical level as interest of criminal activity that will be some kind of mandatory need to continue this illicit scam. Perhaps that in general they are not covered anymore, but still on offices and departments doing the decision. You can suspend them, interrupting the process as power misuse, and finally put them out as dismiss order and disrupt the event. They got out by criminal association. It's a crime. And by this we request the conviction of all criminal system from the top and to the bottom, considering all complaints made since 2014, not only by this effort, but especially presented at this complaint, with all consequences and punishments validated or affordable applied from institution in solidarity, considering the collusion as the last expression proved on bank system, regressed until the checks by acts without no excuse to be as violation and aggressions made in Brazil. Right? Have a great New Year.